My name is Terrence. My surname is Hadebe. I'm not gonna talk to you about the company, how amazing it is, how amazing the people are, and also and how well they treat us or how well we treat each other. But I'm gonna talk to you, or I'm gonna tell you how amazing you are and how wonderful you are and
Thank you.
and how important you are, right? So are you guys high school students?
Yeah.
Okay.
10, 11, 12.
Oh, perfect, perfect. Because I was worried, like when they told me that I'm gonna be speaking to students, because I do not want to talk about things that you guys will not relate to, you know. So I'm gonna sort of give you more of a motivational talk, right? So right, I'm gonna tell you a bit about myself, my upbringing, the place that I grew up in. So as I told you, I'm Terrence. My surname is Hadebe. I was born in a place called Haywood. I'm not sure if you'll know it. It's a place just next to Montclair or Rosberg, around there, right? So we don't hear the word Haywood. I think it's such a fancy place. I mean, when I was actually born in '92, right? And at that time, there were like shacks all over the place. So I live in shacks, right? So I was living with my dad and my mom, who separated I think when I was around 5 or 4, and they weren't married anyway. So my dad went to leave wherever he went to leave, and then we were left with my mom. But at least she had her sister, who was my aunt, and then her mother, our granny. So her sister had like 4 children, and my mom had 5. So all in all, it was 9 children. And unfortunately, my mom passed on when I think I was around 8 or 9, right? So after she passed on, because now it was just my aunt and my grand. So my aunt had like 4 children, my mom had 5. So all in all, it was just the 9 of us, and that poor one woman had to take care of us. She was unemployed, single parent, and my grand as well was unemployed, right? And we had to move from Claywood to Umlazi, to a township, because in Claywood, they were like Claywood Boys or the schools in Bluff or wherever. So there was no way that we could afford school fees at such schools, because nobody was working. There was no source of income, right? So this is what happened. When we moved to Umlazi, we enrolled at a primary school. We paid, I think, like about 50 rands a year. So even though my aunt couldn't keep up with the payments, because there was a lot of us and just only her unemployed single parent and all that. So what happened was my granny stayed in Claywood. So what happened was my granny tried to help our aunt. Well, she went and applied for government grants, and she got that. So that's how we managed to get food, but it was not enough, right? So we had every Friday when we come from school, after change, you have to take a train from Umlazi to Claywood, and at that time I was around 9, right? We had to take a train from Umlazi to Claywood. The aunt will be left at home to watch after the little ones, because some of us were old and some of us were like really young. So we had to take a train to Claywood to go help Granny. And what Granny was doing was she was selling metal scraps, cupboards, right, in order for us to have money to buy food and buy uniform and whatever. And I started doing that around 9, right? And when I was in grade 6, which is standard 4, I got my first job part-time, right? So I started working part-time, and at that time, I could manage to buy myself a uniform to also help at home. I remember I was working with my dad because he was working at a vegetable market in Cairo. There's this huge, what house-size markets, that's what they call it. There's this huge fruit and veg market there. So he was working there, and I used to go and help him in order for me to take care of myself and whatever. So when I was in grade 7, I just couldn't take it, because at that time I was growing up, right? And I'm looking at my siblings, like it's 9 of us, my aunt, in a 3-roomed house, 1 bedroom, one lounge, and 1 kitchen, right? 10 of us. So I thought this is not for me. I can't do this, right? So I decided to run away from my aunt's place and went to live with my dad, right? So when I reached there, I mean, even though my dad as well had he has 9 children. So when I say 9, I'm including the 3 of us, me, my younger brother, and my sister, and then all the other ones are from different moms, which some of them I've never met their mom till to this day, right? And at that time, my dad was earning about 1,000 rand, which is nothing. It's not even half to buy an Xbox, right? So he was suffering himself. So when I went to high school, I remember when I was in grade 10, I lost my part-time jobs. My last job was at IG Hussein in Smith, it's Queen Street in town. So I lost my part-time jobs and I couldn't find any job. So I decided, okay, because I don't have job, and it was in my blood now. I could not come back from school on Friday and only maybe wash my uniform and go play. I've never been, that type of a kid, because from when I was young, it was in my blood that I have to come back from school and go work. So when I was in grade 10, I went to a community health center, which is a public clinic, and asked them if I could please, after school can come here and work. And they asked me, what do you want to do? I said, anything, I can do anything. I was that kind of person, right? So then they allowed me. So after school, every weekend, every holiday, every time when I was free, I will go to a public institution, to a community health center, and then help the people that needed assistance. But because I was not a medical person, I could not help them in that way. But all that I did was I went to the administration place, which is the outpatient departments, and I used to help them, speed up the process of them being able to go and see the nurses and whatever, because they spent a lot of time waiting for the people to write cards for them or notes or whatever in order for them to go see the doctors and nurses and whatever. So I did that 3 years part-time from grade 10 to grade 12, right? So when I left high school, and I passed with flying colors, but I knew I wasn't gonna go to a higher institution. Because even if you can study for financial assistance, but you can only apply for them after you've registered. So the registration fee was a problem. Because when I was in grade 10, I was very fortunate because I had teachers who would help me, maybe pay for my school fees of that year, or maybe sometimes call me and my sister to come to the staff room and make sandwiches for us and whatever, and use stuff for ourselves. And I'm very grateful for that till this day. But because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to go and study, I just went to work at a clothing factory. And there was 2013. 2014, I was very, very, very fortunate to get a job here at Derivco as a parking attendant to watch cars outside. Right? So when I got the job as a parking attendant, my first day here was oh my God, so many cars, such a huge building. What do these people do? And then I asked this guy, and I remember, I think it was Rory. I asked him, because I actually spoke with a lot of people. Because I went to this person, asked them one question, went to the next guy, asked them the same question, went to the next person, asked them the same question, because I knew that, whatever way that you explain it, he might not explain it, right? So, and then he told me that if you really, 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 really want to know or understand what we do here, you've got to go and study. I asked him, what do I have to study? He said, IT. I mean, at school, nobody ever mentioned that to me. I didn't know what the hell that was. So whatever I was getting, I took that money and went to enroll at a college. And I started studying, right? I took myself to college. I studied that year, and then the following year, very fortunate enough as well, I got a job at the food service department. Excuse me, and I was working at the food service department for over a year as well. Excuse me, and I was still studying, right? And then the company let me apply before I could even finish studying, and that was wonderful. I applied, I wrote the assessment, failed it. They said you have to wait for 6 months. I waited, wrote it again, failed it. So I was like, maybe they just don't like me. maybe they just don't see it in me. But I knew that I was capable. I knew that I could do it. I mean, from all this time, from being in Claywood, from selling metal scraps, from selling cardboards, from knocking in Muslims' houses and begging for food, from that to being a food service assistant, for me, that was such a huge achievement. That was such a huge achievement. Because, you know, when you're dirty and walking on the street and people are looking at you, collecting cupboards and metal scraps, the whole thing, probably ran away from home, you know, because you'll be dirty anyway, because, you know, of the nature of the job or the business that you do. If you metal scrap collector, you will be dirty. So then I waited, right, and then I wrote it again for the third time. So when they told me that you got the job, I was like, I was actually shocked, right? I was not happy. I was shocked and afraid. Because, you know, from the time I was growing till today, whenever I'm in a situation, I tell myself this: I am not here for long. This is just for me to grab a lesson and apply the lesson in whatever that awaits me, right? And I had that. That started when I was in grade 7, when I chose to leave home and said to myself, I can't do this. I can't sit in this house, overcrowded like this. I'm gonna have to leave here and try and find something that I think is better for myself, right? And when I found out that the situation wasn't better, I didn't go to the streets, or I didn't do all the stupid things that people, some people do out there. But what I decided to do, because I knew that I had to study, no matter what, I had to study, even though it was hard. Because I remember when I was in high school and I was doing my matric, my teacher told me, because I used to sell chips and stick sweets and whatever at school, you know, just to help myself as well. And she said to me, Terrence, stop doing that. Because if you're doing that, you're in matric now. You need to study. You need to give this your all. Because if you mess this up, you probably would have messed everything in your life. But this is what I said to myself. I will not do things how other kids do them, and I will not do things how other people do them. I will do things the way I know is right. Because if you have it in you, no matter what people say, no matter what people think of you, no matter who thinks what or who says what, if they say it and you don't accept it, you don't believe it, it probably won't happen in your life. Only if you know that thing will not endanger you. I knew that I was helping myself. I knew that I wanted a better life for myself. I was not trying to, be like the other kids, have cell phones at school, or, some of them used to wear caps or whatever, because we were in uniform, so you weren't allowed to dress up and everything. So they will wear those nightcaps and sometimes put night shoes and whatever. And I've never, till this day, from that time till this day, I've never been a brand person. Because at that time, I could not afford it. And at this time, I can afford it, but I just don't see a need for it. So even though I wasn't as cool as them, but I knew what I was working for. I knew what I was fighting for. I had it in my mind. I spoke it. I believed it. And I worked towards it, and I achieved it. And at this moment, I know that this as well is just another phase. This as well is just, it's just to teach me another lesson. And I'm grateful to be standing here in front of you and telling you all this, because believe me, it starts now. If a grade 7, if a 9-year-old can work as hard, why can't you? Well, you can't go work maybe in a proper workplace, but the work that you currently have now are your books, it's your studies. The work what you're supposed to be doing now, whatever that you want to be, see it in your mind. Practice it. Because for me, I had this 2 ways to practice things. I had imaginary practice and I had a physical practice, right? I knew that one day I'm gonna be a professional. So I acted professional. I didn't go after school to, play with the other kids and whatever and do all those things that they did, because I knew that I had to study. So what you have now is your books that you work right now, that you work. So excel, try, give it your all, give it your best, give it all you've got, and believe it, and speak it, say it. Well, let me ask this question. How many of you think that you will not be successful? How many of you try to tell yourself, to verbalize it, that you're successful? Okay. Good. So for those that haven't started doing that, say it. Even when it's just maybe you're having maybe a general conversation with your mom, maybe they will tell you to maybe whatever they will tell you, and tell them that I'm a boss. I'm not saying be rude to your parents. I'm not saying, but tell them I'm a boss if you want to be a boss. I'm a businessman if you want to be a businessman. I'm an artist if you want to be an artist. I'm a doctor if you want to be a doctor. Whatever that you want to be, say it. And don't just say it. Believe it. And don't just believe it. See it. And don't just see it. Work towards it. It comes as a package. It comes as a package. And I'm sure many of you will wonder, why the hell on earth are we not all rich? Why the hell on earth are we not all successful? It's because if you do the things that people do, you will have the things that people have. If you don't do the things that people do, you will not have what they have. Now look at it this way, just to make it more easier for you, just for you to get it. Now, we have people here who are millionaires, billionaires. Don't they have blood like you? If you had to donate blood, let's say your blood types matched. Will they say, oh, you're not a billionaire, or you're not a millionaire, or you're not a businessman, you're not a nurse, you're not a teacher, you're not a whatever. We need a teacher, we need a nurse to donate blood to this person. No.